Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Panel Pals, the comic book podcast for thinkers. We're your hosts, Diane Hitchings.
And Jack Stewartson.
You enjoying the late in the year snow today?
It doesn't end. I mean, admittedly, it's not a lot. It's not heavy, but it frustrates me. Whatever.
Yeah, nothing funnier than I wake up this morning to a text from my sister being like, I love spring, and it's a picture of, like, the gross roads with snow blowing across them. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't leave my house today.
Yeah. I chose not to send back a picture of me biking to work in the sun.
I wish. One day.
Yeah, one day, soon. It'll be soon. But okay, I'll stop gloating about the good weather. Anything fun and exciting happening this week? You do anything cool? You get any nice comics?
No. I will shout out Stanley Cup Finals have begun.
Woo.
I don't know. Oilers aren't looking so good. But we'll see tonight. Round 3 against the Ducks. We'll see.
Yeah. Unfortunately, only 2 Canadian teams, but like, you know, my beloved Canucks didn't make it, seeing as they were the worst team in the league, I think.
Ooh, that stings.
Yeah, it does, but you know what? Not the end of the world. It's still fun to watch hockey. It doesn't really matter who wins. It's still a fun game to watch.
It's still a fun game. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Totally true.
Yeah, so, I mean, hockey's still going on. It makes it seem more apt that there's snow, right?
Yes, I was about to say, it's almost like it's still winter.
I know. I went for my weekly going to public skating on my day off from work yesterday, where I just go public skating. It's a bunch of, like, retired old people also skating. It's great. It's fun. But, like, it's so weird. You just go to a rink and it's, like, sunny and bright out and you're like, huh? What do you mean? I'm supposed to be going to a rink and it's supposed to be dark and it's supposed to be snowing and it's supposed to be colder outside than inside. And then you talk to old people and they're like, oh, the winter here was so harsh. Ha ha ha. It didn't snow. Shut up. Oh, the winter was so harsh. I had to go to Spain early. And I'm like, cool.
These damn snowbirds. Stay there then.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. Guess what? It's still snowing in Edmonton. Haha.
Hilarious.
Yeah. But anyways, to move a little bit away from weather talk and back into our comic talk, today we are going to be talking about the very non-heated and very non-volatile and highly debated topic, religion.
Organized religion. Yay!
Yay! Before we start, you have anything to say about religion?
I'll say this disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised Roman Catholic. I've done 4 of the 7 sacraments. I still attend church on Christmas and Easter. I do not want, not that our listeners are this kind, we don't have this kind of audience. I do not want to sway any listener towards or against religion in any way during our discussion, if that's possible. I don't want to be that guy.
Oh, so you did you had to go to those real long church services, huh?
I mean, I was an altar boy at some of those real long church services, so yes.
Ooh-wee. Fun. Yeah, I'll put the disclaimer as I have a pretty chill way of speaking about religion, so please do not take anything I say as disrespect or anything. It's just vibes, man. I'm not here to insult any religion. I'm not here to say, any religion is better than other. We just talking about religion. I am also not an expert.
Yes, me neither.
Yeah. Did I go to Catholic school for 6 years? Yes. Have I read the entire Bible in comic form? Yes. But like, I'm not an expert. Also, like, we're going to talk about Buddhism. Like, I'm not an expert. Please do not. Nobody crucify me if I get something wrong, please.
Nobody can crucify you? No, also, yeah, I literally don't know anything about Buddhism. So that's going to be a tricky one to navigate. We'll get there when we get there, though.
We'll get there when we get there. But anyways, yes. This week we're talking about religion and the manga Saint Young Men. In the West, and specifically North America, a lot of people have a complex relationship with religion. Christianity is extremely prevalent in culture, both pop culture and normal culture. There's Christmas and Easter, ubiquitous holidays in which you get the day off or you get stat pay. Catholic school is just a thing here that exists in Canada. I, a non-Catholic, went to Catholic school for 6 years, and I recited the Lord's Prayer every morning just like everyone else. Despite the church and state being separated, it really doesn't feel like that, especially these days in the US. Growing up in Alberta, I spent a lot of time in rural Alberta, and there was always a lot of Christianity around, even down to praying before meals. As a child, you don't really understand what all this means. It's just a ritual. It's just you dress up on Sundays and watch VeggieTales with a bunch of other kids. Then you get older, and you realize what you're being taught. You have to grapple with the concept of sin, of doing things wrong, of what God says is wrong, of life and death and the afterlife, and your grade 7 religion teacher tells everyone on the first day of class that if you're not baptized, you're going to hell. As someone not baptized, the concept was both badass and also horrifying. In university, I took a religion course called The Religion of Suffering, which was a class that explored a variety of religious relationships with the concept of suffering. But in reality, it was a class that introduced you to a bunch of religions, and then we briefly talked about how each religion viewed suffering. In this class, we learned about Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, and the Abrahamic religions. It was an awesome class with a super chill teacher who rode a motorbike to school and was also a Buddhist priest, and we did guided meditation in class with singing bowls and incense. Very fun. This was my formal introduction to the teachings of Buddhism, which is relevant to our topic today. And briefly, for what's relevant today, here's a Cliff Notes on how Christianity and Buddhism view suffering. Buddhism. Life is suffering, and being stuck in the reincarnation cycle is suffering. But if you vibe hard enough with being chill, you reach nirvana and you get to escape all of that. And in Christianity, Christians have a persecution complex and OMG, why do we always have to suffer? Oh no, everyone hates us, but it's okay, we suffer in life so we have a good time in heaven. But I digress. Also in university, I took an art history class that was specifically about art history in China. One of the things I learned in this class, relevant to my term paper, was how more so in the East than the West, religions existed in harmony, instead of in opposition to each other. Not a blanket rule, of course, but religions like Buddhism and Confucianism could exist in the same time in the same place, and people usually wouldn't fight about which religion was best. It gave more chill vibes, which made sense with what I'd learned from that previous religion class. Also, in university, I took a religion class called Atheism, and it's really more of a philosophy class with a bunch of really edgy people learning about nihilism and stuff. Also a fun class to take. Back to Christianity and Buddhism. A couple of stats for everyone. In Canada, a survey in 2021 reported that 53% of Canadians reported as Christian, 34% as having no religion, and 2% as Buddhist. Similarly, in the US, Christianity had the most followers with about 70% of the population, 21% of the population having no religion, and 1% being Buddhist. Conversely, if we look at Japan, 46% reported as Buddhist, 42% as no religion, and 2% as Christian. So, similar vibes, it's just the other religion that's dominant. Today's episode was inspired by Jack crashing out in the Wish episode 2 weeks ago, or 2 episodes ago, about theology. As in, the manga didn't go into much detail about how the system of belief worked, like God existed and also angels and demons and the devil, and really Jack should not have been expecting coherent theology from a boys love manga, but I really enjoyed that energy and I wanted to give him more time to go crazy about religion and manga. And so I want to talk about Saint Young Men. Saint Young Men is a Tezuka award-winning slice-of-life comedy manga by Hikaru Nakamura. The series started in 2006 and is running to this day, with 22 volumes out. In English, these volumes are published as beautiful hardcover cover volumes, where 2 of the original volumes are adapted into 1. So for this episode, we are focusing on the first English volume, comprising the first 2 Japanese volumes and the first 15 chapters. In a perfect world, I would be rich enough to have every volume because they are beautiful and I love them, but they are also extremely expensive. The manga here follows Jesus and Buddha living as roommates in modern-day Japan as they take a vacation from their saintly duties. They grapple with normal everyday problems, like budgeting and shopping and dealing with the weather and navigating awkward social situations. Nakamura said that she had the idea for a series where the protagonists would be very powerful people, and Jesus and Buddha fit that bill. Originally, Jesus was envisioned as the protagonist, but adding in Buddha helped with the comedy dynamic of the duo, to fit with that comedy slice of life genre. As they are portrayed in the manga, Buddha is a more serious, pragmatic worries about having enough money to pay the rent kind of guy, where Jesus is more bubbly, happy-go-lucky, and he's more apt to spend their money frivolously. The chapters follow their daily, mundane lives on Earth, with a focus on visual and pun-related humor, and how their various religious aspects tie into modern culture. So, Jack, what did you think about Saint Youngman?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty funny.
Mhm.
Pretty good book.
Mhm.
Yeah. No complaints.
Yeah. No complaints?
Well, except for maybe some I've got some questions. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Admittedly, this is a translated work and it is a comedy, so not all of the comedy hits.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest complaint against the work, but in terms of a pure craft level, pretty decent.
Yeah, that is the one problem. I was reading this I have the first volume in print that my sister got for me from a secondhand bookstore. It's beautiful, lovely. It has a slightly different translation than you read an online translation of this. And some of the translations are different, like the puns are like slightly adapted in different ways. And the puns do not have a direct translation. Sometimes in like the margins, especially in the online translation, there was like a little bit of explanation. And in the hardcover, the paper copy I have, at the end of each chapter, there's like translation notes, and it's like sometimes multiple pages.
Love an appendix. Love that.
There's an appendix after every chapter.
Love that.
But explaining like some of how the translation works, some of the puns, also explaining just like some of the religious things, as in, for example, in chapter 1, Amen, page 7. Amen is a Hebrew word meaning roughly, so be it. In the Christian tradition, it is often said at the end of prayers or hymns as a way of expression agreement with what came before. Just, yeah.
See, I need that for all the Buddhist stuff that I don't get. And there's some of that in the online version I read, but...
Yeah. So, like, that's one of the problems with, like, specifically pun-based comedy, and I probably complained about it in the me and Roboco episode. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't always translate one for one, but that's how language works, man, I guess. You gotta suffer it as being English people.
Yes. As far as... Actually, let me ask you this. Who published this in English? That's my question. Who's the translator? Who's the publisher in English?
According to the book I'm holding, it's called Kodansha Comics.
Oh, Kodansha. Okay, so
yeah,
this is like that's like elevated manga. This is like a critically acclaimed work. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Why do you ask?
The other question I have is like, so it wins awards in Japan, presumably because in Japan their views on, I mean, I'm not going to speak for a whole nation of people, but presumably their views on
people.
Yeah, as white Canadians, presumably their views on organized religion, it's a little bit more nonchalant than at least some people in the West. Not everyone in the West, obviously. You ever heard of the little movie and a little book called The Last Temptation of Jesus Christ?
Yes.
See, that's a fictionalization of the religious Jesus, which admittedly is just kind of merges the Gnostic and the traditional like Catholic versions of the figure to create a narrative. And it was hugely controversial when it came out because it depicts a Jesus who, while suffering on the cross, imagines just a regular life after his work as the Christ, which includes depicting him having sex. Now, he doesn't actually have sex, right? Like it's imagined, it's explained in the narrative that this is not real, and yet still that is like something that is way too over the top. It's so sacrilegious, whatever. But to my knowledge, this book does not have that same stigma against it, even though it depicts Jesus as like a slacker, which I find kind of interesting. It's also
dude,
and also not the one true Messiah. That's the other thing, is he's hanging out with the original Buddha. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so like that's one of the things that's like interesting about this. So yes, I am not an expert in religion. I am not an expert about religion in Japan. But from what I've garnered from reading a bunch of manga, yeah, usually people are way more chill about religion in Japan. For example, like there's a lot of like traditions that are like Buddhist. And there's a lot of traditions that are also like Shinto traditions, which is like the traditional religion in Japan. And like both of these exist, and they're both like tropes that exist in manga where like, especially in slice of life stuff, people are always gonna, let's see, I wrote this in my note. Yeah. So like Christmas exists. Most people, like vast majority of people in Japan, are not Christian, but like Christmas is still a holiday, and like people do their thing.
They go to KFC.
They go to KFC. Yep.
And
that's a thing they do in St. Young-man. They have Christmas. They go to I think that the New Year's visit is a Buddhist thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
They do that in St. Young-man. They also have, in chapter 8, forget exactly what religious event it is, but it's a Shinto religious event, which...
I think it's also the New Year.
Yeah. So, like, people, like, do these things, and, like, a lot of people in Japan are, like, identify as Buddhist. A lot of them, like I said, like, 42% as having no religion, but, like, so many people still go to these, like, shrine events, even if they're not, like, actively religious. From the vibe that I get, it's more like... These are, like, events that people do, and they're not, like, super duper religious. They're, like, social events that happen, and you do them. Whereas, like, a bunch of, like, religious people in, like, the West here are, like, hardcore about the beliefs more so. They wouldn't be like, oh, going to church is... Well, I mean, some people are like, oh, going to church is a social event, but it's, like, the main point is God. Not like, oh, going to, the New Year's shrine visit in Japan is like a social event. You do it and you like kind of like do the little things and you see what your luck is gonna be and whatever. Yeah. More vibes. Yeah. Like just vibes. It's like I said in the intro briefly in the art history class that I took that was specifically about Chinese art history, so obviously a bit different than Japan. But for example, in my term paper, I wrote my paper about a painting, and in this painting there were 3 characters, or like 3 people depicted, and one of them was a Buddhist historical figure, and one was like a Confucius historical figure. And I was all like, wow, it's kind of interesting, like all these like religious figures being depicted together. I'm like, are they like how does that vibe? And then the prof was like, yeah, so like these religions just kind of like vibed at the same time. Like they weren't really like in the West where people like fight each other hardcore. Like, no, my specific religion, even like denominations of Christianity, like, no, my specific denomination is right and you were wrong. It's more they coexist, and you can like take parts from each religion. And I mean, a lot of Eastern religions have similar aspects to them that are like different, like. Especially, like, Hinduism and Buddhism have some aspects that are quite similar. But, yeah. It's a lot more chill. So it explains why in St. Young-man we can have 2 religious figures just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And they both exist.
Yes. I did just the briefest amount of research, literally skimmed a Wikipedia article on Christianity and Buddhism. And in Buddhism, you can accept Jesus as maybe not a messianic figure, but as a miracle worker and someone who would have performed like bodhicisti? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anyway, someone who did achieve nirvana and practiced and used all the systems of Buddhism, even if they themselves weren't Buddhist. And I feel like that's just kind of how that maybe religion works generally. I also know that I don't want to be that guy that's like, Christians are persecuted across the world. But historically, Christians were, when they came to Japan, they were persecuted. Although you could make the argument that it was a culture trying to protect themselves from invaders. So yeah, there's also that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like Buddhism, way more chill with the idea of a Jesus than it is the other way around.
Yeah. So, funny about how you were like, oh, this seems like it was something that had, like, especially in the West, a stigma about it. I forget where I read it, but I think it was, like, so, like, this book here that I'm holding, Volume 1, was first published in English in 2019, which is quite a while after it started in 2006. forget where I read it, but something like in 2010, a publisher somewhere in North America was like, "Hey, can we reached out and was like, "Hey, can we publish Saint Young Men in English?" And it was like kind of like turned down because like they were worried that it would like not get a good reception in the West. And so it took till 2019 for it to actually get there.
So I guess that fear did exist.
Yeah. But then like I've seen nothing about it being received poorly in the West.
Like this isn't on a banned book list anyway. I mean, I don't know.
No.
Maybe I should have looked that up, but it doesn't seem like it is.
I don't think so. Like, for example, I read this as online translations way before it got like published in English in person, which is interesting to me to learn for this episode. I didn't know that. I thought it was just that, I read it many years before I really thought to look of it in stores, and then all of a sudden there was these nice, beautiful hardcovers, and I was like, ooh, wouldn't that be nice? What? Each volume is $32? Shit. Never mind.
That's Kondasha. It's probably printed really nicely.
So, like, it's pretty nice, but I'm, like, really impressed by how yellowed the pages are for it being from 2019. Yeah. Like, the pages on the binding, the pages that are on, like, the front and back where they're attached to the front covers are, like, pure white, and then the rest of the pages are, like, super yellowed. So I was like, well, obviously this is a first printing I have, but I thought, first printing, this must have been from a long time ago. And then I look at the back and it's like, 2019, and I'm like, I was expecting more like it 2010 from the looks of the colors of the, yeah. But I don't know, maybe the person who owned this before me, because it was secondhand, just decided to leave it open all the time in front of a window. But yeah. So you're familiar with Kodansha as a printing house and what they do?
I mean, they're putting out the nice Fighting for Tomorrow volumes right now.
Gotcha.
And some other older work too. Some stuff that's been out of print for a long time.
A pretty prestigious one.
Yes, I think they put out the nice Akira hardcovers that came out recently too. I think that's right.
I'm just looking at my shelf. I'm like, so they're one of the prestige ones, not the ones that like
not Tokyo Pop or Viz.
Or like what is it? You know, the one with their logo is a little black ship.
Oh, 7.
That one?
Yeah. They used to be good, but now they're doing AI translations. Fuck, I'm so mad.
Are they? Oh no. Fuck, that sucks. Anyways, all the ones I have of that are like the titty mangas, so.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So not prestigious. Oh man, that sucks. Crap, where am I gonna get my titty mangas from now? Anyways, Saint Young Men. So as far as I know, it was received well in the West. I mean, I always see the new volumes in stores, and I'm like, it would be nice. So as far as I know, people don't like it, but also I have a feeling that maybe the people who are reading manga, especially slice of life comedy manga, are not the kind of people to be like outraged by the concept of Jesus and Buddha vibing. Yeah,
I mean, besides the fact that it's two religious figures, it's really tame, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, not much happens.
Not a lot happens. There's not a lot of plot.
No. There's blood sometimes, but it's just because like Jesus is bleeding from his crown of thorns.
Stigmata, yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny. Like, okay, what are your thoughts of like the uses of like the religious aspects and like the quote unquote plot and stuff?
So, first off, I found it interesting that Buddha's earlobes come into play so often. That's not something that I can say that I recognized in Buddhist art or in, I don't know anything about Buddhism really, other than there's like multiple Buddhas. Mm-hmm. But the earlobe thing, that is silly from an outsider's perspective. That's kind of fun to play with. The Jesus stuff, I have one gripe with the Jesus stuff.
Okay, tell me.
Part of his like affliction is that when he gets excited, he'll turn things into bread, specifically stone into bread.
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't do that. That comes from Matthew when Jesus is in the desert, he's fasting and he meets the tempter, which is implied to be Satan, and Satan like tempts him to turn rocks into bread so that he can finish his fast. But Jesus doesn't do that.
So Jesus never canonly turns rock into bread.
Never. No, not in the New Testament. He does turn water into wine, which they also do in the manga to comedic effect. He can multiply fish as in, oh, what's that? What's gospel is that? I think it's No, it's not Matthew. Maybe it's Luke. Anyway, he does not turn rocks into bread. I don't doubt that he could if he is, if he is part of the Holy Trinity, whatever. He can do whatever you want. He can perform miracles. But that's not his thing. Explicitly, that's not his thing. But other than that, pretty good.
It's funny. You're just like, actually, no, canonly, that doesn't work in canon. This was the author's head canon.
That is not canon. In the truest terms. That is not canon. That is not in the Bible.
It's so funny. But like, it didn't bother you too much, like just aspects of Christianity being used for jokes.
I mean, I'm not that guy. Maybe when I was like 12 and really trying to get into this stuff, maybe I would have been a little mad. I don't even know that I would call this sacrilegious, even though it is, it's a cultural product that sells Jesus in it and he's hanging out with another deity. So part of it is Jesus in this, he's sort of a goofball slacker character. And as you said in your introduction, he likes to buy things. He's a weeb in Japan and he's buying all this stuff. And at first glance, that's like, oh, get it? Because Jesus is like, he's the chill one or whatever, which isn't necessarily true. It depends on which gospel you're reading. But him buying stuff, again, at first glance, oh, he's taking part in consumerism. That's totally not what Jesus was about. He whipped all the guys out of the temples that were selling stuff. How familiar are you with the parable of the talents?
Oh, tell me, what is this?
Okay, it appears in Matthew and Luke, and it's a story of a wealthy man and his 3 sons, and he begifts. This is a story Jesus tells to a crowd. So this wealthy man, he gifts his 3 sons 3 talents each, and in those days, a talent, it was a form of Greek currency. It is also a double entendre. But so he gives this money. The first son, he wants to make his dad proud, so he buries it in the dirt so that it can't be spent, it can't be used. I think, what does the second son do with it? He invests it in the farm. Like, they have a farm, and he just invests it in the farm, so he like buys some extra cattle or whatever. The third son, he uses his talents, he goes out, he parties. When he comes home, he's left broke and alone. And his dad is thrilled that his son has come and returned, and they throw a big party. And the 2 other sons get mad with their father. They're like, well, you gave us these talents. Like, I thought you wanted us to do something with them. All he did was spend it away. And the father says, well, no, talents are no good unless you spend them. Like, I'm happy that my son is happy, and I'm happy that he is home, and you guys should also be happy that he's home. This is a story Jesus tells in the New Testament, which basically means life is worth living, right? Like, it's not good to sit on your talents or your wealth. It's not healthy for a society. You should go out and you should party and you should spend cash and you should do things that you like doing, which Jesus and Saint Young Men is all about. So like, in theory, hey, kind of close, kind of interesting. Yeah. Do I think the author knew that? No. But that's okay.
I don't think so. Yeah, I wonder how much. Yeah, it says that she used really only her personal like knowledge of these things. I guess like maybe like you kind of compare it to how like in Helsing the author was like, yeah, I have like a bunch of interests in these things. I kind of just used what I got from pop culture and like vibes and stuff, but these are actually things I'm kind of interested in. Not like a whole lot of research. But like, I don't know, as far as I know, nothing is I was gonna say, as far as I know, nothing is like against canon. As you previously told me, no, he doesn't make stone into.
He doesn't turn bread into stone. No.
Yeah, but like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, I didn't even clock that when I was reading it. I was just like, yeah, he does stuff with.
He
bread,
turns stuff into other stuff. Yeah.
I was like, that's how it be. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it is. He just broke the bread and shared it with a bunch of people and the fish and shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, good point. Yeah, fair enough. But, like, also, I don't think anyone was really, like, especially in Japan, no one's gonna know. It's gonna be like, haha, Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Or, who is Jesus?
I mean, well, nobody's saying, hold on. Nobody's saying who is Jesus.
Possibly. I mean, do you think it's possible that you could go to like some people in Edmonton and be like, "Do you know who Buddha is?" And they'd be like, "Huh."
Yes, but that's because, I mean, again, I'm not saying anything here, but Christianity is technically, I think, still the number one or number two organized religion. It depends between them and Muslim faiths.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, but like I think it's funny, like in the manga, like there's one chapter where like Jesus goes out to like the convenience store and he's like, "Well, people thought I looked like Johnny Depp. Isn't that sick?"
That is very funny. That is a funny bit.
Buddha goes out and he's like, "People said I looked like Buddha."
And that's it's an Eastern comic that makes sense. People would probably,
that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
People would be like, "Yeah, this random dude who's not from Japan, he looks like Johnny Depp." And then this guy who looks exactly like Buddha. Hey, that's probably Buddha. That guy looks like Buddha. So, like, it's interesting seeing, like the difference, like, because, like, if this was written from the point of view of something happening, like, in Canada, it would really just be kind of the other, well, okay, like, I don't know, because, like, the way that Jesus is depicted in art is always...
It's wrong.
It differs a lot, and it's usually wrong. Shout out to the one kid in my grade 7 religion class who, when he, like, was allowed to ask a question during our weekly, ask any question you want about religion, he was all like, "Why does Jesus have a six-pack?" And then my religion teacher ignored him and continued to talk about something else.
I mean, words out on the six-pack thing. He for sure wasn't white, though. Let's clear the air there.
Yeah. Bro was not white. And, so, like, if we want to be, like, really legit, I mean... could have used some screen tone to color Jesus' skin. But also what I think is very funny is at the very end of this book, like most books, it says, "Saint Young Men is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are the product of the author's imagination and are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual events, locales, or persons living or dead is entirely coincidental."
Good. It's good to have disclaimers.
And I think that's one of the funniest uses of this disclaimer. Because I'm like, damn girl, you invented Jesus? That's awesome.
It's the Saint Young Men Jesus. It's not
Yeah.
It's not the Catholic Jesus or the Protestant Jesus or the Lutheran Jesus.
Yeah, and you invented Jesus? you invented Buddha. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. In reading this, did you learn anything about Buddhism?
I mean, the earlobe thing. I was gonna look up. At one point, Buddha mentions Siddhartha as like an old friend or an old acquaintance, and I wasn't familiar with this at all. Turns out it's not part of Buddhist dogma. It's based on a novel that was released in the 1920s that then became popular in the U.S. in like the 60s. I kind of want to look this up. I'm curious to check it out. It's a fictionalized take on someone who knew the Buddha as he was becoming the Buddha. It's I guess it would be the Buddhist equivalent of like Ben-Hur, I guess.
Yeah. So like not canon, but like about religious characters.
Yeah, historical religious fiction. Yeah. Which is an interesting, I like that genre. I think that genre is interesting.
Neat. You didn't learn anything else about Buddhism in this. Maybe the translation wasn't. The translation, the online translation is not great. I also read the online translation. I'm like, oh yeah, there's some differences here. The jokes are still the same. They're just slightly different.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about Buddhism because I took that one class like 8 years ago or something. Which like, yeah, when I took that class, I was like, whoa, yeah, Buddhism kind of vibes. I like it. It's pretty cool. I mean, maybe it was biased because our teacher was legitimately like a Buddhist priest and she was like really chill and really cool. And maybe she made the Buddhism sound the coolest of them all on purpose. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it definitely helped with knowing some things about Buddhism to understand what's happening. Obviously, I'm not a expert because I took one class and then read Saint Young Men. Maybe I should go read the Tezuka version of Buddha now.
I hear that's very good. I do hear that's very good.
Yeah.
Maybe you can answer this. Here's what I didn't understand about Buddhism. So they mentioned the different faces of Buddha.
Portrayed in art kind of thing?
No, like he'll like change his face and that can like do stuff with
Oh, the
reality or
smile?
something. Yeah,
Like
what's
the
that all
Buddhist
about?
smile?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like, because, like, a lot of the, like, the pictures of Buddhism, he just has, like, that, like, well, some of them, and some of the depictions, he has, like, just kind of, like, a small kind of, like, chill smile on his face. And I think just how it's being used as, like, a quote-unquote magic power in this is that if he uses the Buddha smile, he can, like, convince people to do things. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's it. It's not, like, an actual, I don't think it's an actual power he had in real life.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think it's just because, like, it's like, maybe it's like it's a recognizable symbol or face that people in Japan are familiar with, and so he can, like, use it to be like, yes, you'll believe me, and the person's like, yeah, I do. That's how I get it. Of course, again, I'm no expert, but that's my reading of it. Question for you.
Yeah.
So this genre, this is slightly away from the fact that it's about religious figures. This is a slice of life. Have we talked about slice of life yet on the show?
Maybe in tandem
With something else? I'm trying to
maybe in
think which
tandem.
specifically did.
No.
Yeah.
Usually it's either comedy or something else. Yeah. Okay.
Shonen.
No.
Yeah. Are you familiar very much with slice of life? The slice of life genre?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever read other, like, slice of life manga?
A handful, not a lot, but they all do kind of read just like this, where it's somebody goes and does an activity in urban or rural Japan, and then they explain it through, like, comedic bits or heartwarming bits, depending on what genre you're doing.
Yeah, and there's, like, a theme. For example, this theme is religious dudes / the vibe it's giving is, like, 20-somethings vibing in Japan and just living life as slightly non-employed people.
Yeah.
What manga? Do you remember the name of any of the slice of lives you read?
I mean, like, does Yotsuba count, or?
Yes, Yotsuba counts. Love Yotsuba.
Maison Ikaku, although that's much more, that's, like, much more of a house drama. What would you call that? Like a household drama.
I don't know what that technically counts as, yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, Yotsuba is a very good example.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the genre?
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine?
I don't think I could read, like, a bunch of them in succession. They'd probably all blend together. But, like, from an outsider's perspective who's interested in Japanese life and Japanese culture, it is a nice sort of peek into that world. And Saint Young Men is all about that, right? Like, it is about weebs. It's about weebs.
Yeah. Slightly different than the normal weebs. So, like, how do you think, like, slice of life then reads to people from Japan? Like, obviously then, as we're reading it as white people not in Japan, as you said, the interesting thing to you is seeing how life in Japan is on a daily basis. What then do you think would be, like, the appeal to people who live already in that culture? Why would they read slice of life?
That is a great question. I mean, some of it must be cultural pride, right? Like, I get excited whenever there's a piece of fiction that's set in Canada or is made by Canadians. So I imagine it's a similar thing over there. Maybe a sense of, hey, I did that too. Like empathy, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, what I'll say is, I had never even thought about the aspect of, oh yeah, I get to learn about Japanese culture when reading Slice of Life. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that is one thing you could get from it. Not the reason I read Slice of Life. Fun fact that might surprise you. Slice of Life is, like, my favorite genre.
That does surprise me. That contradicts everything I know about your reading habits.
I know. You think that everything I read is backy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love my fighting series. I love my shonen. But, nah, dude, Slice of Life is legitimately my favorite genre. It's just something so nice. And so I think about it sometimes. I'm like, why do I like Slice of Life so much? I don't read Slice of Life for that, oh, I want to know what, like, Japanese culture is like. Because most of the time I barely notice that. Maybe because I've read so much Slice of Life that, like, those aspects are just kind of like, shows up, like, shows up with all those things. Every Slice of Life, they have them go into the temple on New Year's. Every single one.
Yeah, they always go to the beach in the summer, or to the ryokan, beach.
Or they go to the pool. There's always pool time. There's always chapters centered around working out. There's always stuff about, like,
school festivals.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. Whether it be, like, Slice of Life about, like, I don't know, the vibe this gives. Yes, it's like 20-something dudes, or, like, slice of life of like just like a random married people, or like slice of life like, you know, like Yotsuba, slice of life about just like a dad and also his kid, or there's also slice of life for about like, you know, high school students, university students. And I always think to myself, why is this so fun? Like, I don't, there's just something so quaint to me about like you make up characters and then you put them in random life situations. Like, do you ever do that with your own characters?
No,
No.
I'm not tuned to that style of writing, I'm afraid. I'm much
That's
more
fair.
genre specific.
Yeah.
But I, you know, I like nice and easy like sometimes you need an easy read,
Uh-huh.
something that's not harrowing, and like Slice of
Mhm.
Life is perfect for that, and especially it's good
Mhm.
if there's characters you like. Sorry, one I forgot to
Yeah.
mention, of course, the one of the greatest of all time, Lucky Star. Are you a Lucky Star fan?
I am not familiar with Lucky Star,
No, okay.
actually.
That
What's
would be
okay? I'll add that to my reading list. What's Lucky Star?
that would be a good one
Uh,
for it was initially it
oh,
was a
okay. Yeah, sorry, I forgot what I didn't know it's called. I'm familiar with it. I've never like actually seen it or watched it or whatever.
I
Yeah.
found a lot
Oh,
of similarity between that and this, to be honest. A lot of the hijinks are very similar.
is it is Lucky Star a four coma style?
Yeah, it's a
Um,
comic strip. Yeah.
Yeah, well, someday we're gonna do a four coma series, and I'm gonna complain about it. But like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of four coma style. I prefer the like the normal, the normal slice of life genres. But anyways, yeah, because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people who make characters, like specifically when I make characters that exist in stories that are not like not slice of life, I love just also putting them into slice of life situations because it's like it's fun. Like they're your little guys. You want to know how they would exist in the real world, which is like legitimately what this is. You take your little guys, who in this case is Jesus and Buddha, who are from a very different genre than a slice of life, and you're like, oh, I wonder how these little guys would like vibe in this situation. Let's see. Anyways, here they are. We're gonna put them in a public pool now. Which one can swim? Which one can't? How would
Yes.
they? Yeah, yeah. It's just so fun. You just want to know what your little guys are gonna do in these silly little situations, because then you can be like, well, this is what I would do in this silly little situation. How do these characters react? And like, you know, that's a great way to get to know people. Is like how other people would react in situations that you've been in. You get to learn more about them. And anyways, I was gonna say this is probably coming from my philosophy of what the most important part of a piece of fiction is. Question for you. What do you think is the most important part of a piece of fiction? Is it the story? Is it the setting slash world building? Is it the characters? And by story, I mean like story slash plot.
The
Like, what's the most
eternal
important?
question, plot versus character.
Yeah.
Versus atmosphere, right? That's the other one
Yeah.
you're getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, especially for a visual medium like comics, I guess it would be like the visual aspect is also important.
For comics, it has to be character. I think that's why Scott McCloud focused so hard on it in his book. I think the number one for comics is character. That being said, I don't think that's the case for all medium. And I also think that there is plenty of room for plot to be the predominant thing in a work rather than character. But in comics, for sure, it is character is what drives me to continue to read something. It's why I like Batman.
Yeah. Because you like the character of Batman.
Correct. Not every
Yeah.
Batman comic is great, but that character has stood the test of time for a reason.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have noticed that many a time I have complained about the comics that you bring where I don't find the characters compelling or I don't care about them. Which for sometimes it's because, like, you know, it's a shorter story, so there isn't enough time to go into as much depth with these characters.
Right. You don't have the full breadth of history that someone like me, who has been reading Batman for almost 30 years, has.
Exactly. So I always complain about that. And to me, one of the great strengths of a slice of life is because they are light on plot, and they are usually pretty long running. For example, St. Young Men is still running. It started in 2006. When you think, how could they possibly keep going? How is there possibly enough left? There is. There is.
I don't doubt that. I mean, there's no end to religion, which means that there's no end to these fictionalized versions of those figures, right? Like, there's so much to explore. I mean, that's why theology exists. We're still exploring these 100, if not 1,000-year-old philosophies. Of course, you could do this forever as some sort of comic or as some sort of ongoing narrative.
Yeah. And so like that's what something I like about like slice of life. There is so much time and space to explore the characters specifically. You can learn almost everything about a character that's in this story because of how it's set up, where all it is just character interactions, and the plot is barely there to just make a thing happen in a chapter. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sometimes I will complain about how slice of life is like not is very episodic, and it doesn't really lead to like an end, and I feel like it goes on forever, and then you're like, okay, what's the point of this? Which is why most of my favorite slice of lives do actually move forward in time. Like things actually happen. There are plot points where there is change, which is nice. I like it when that happens. Not all slice of life do that.
No.
We might talk about one eventually. It's just a slice of life that I always think about, which is very funny because I think the intended audience for it is specifically not me, but I like it. Anyways, we'll talk about more slice of life. But yeah, it's a great way to learn about characters, and because I do think characters are the most important part of any type of fiction. I don't care if it's like the coolest story and the dopest world building. If your main character is a fucking Mary Sue who is really boring, I will not read it. I don't care. Which is like kind of impressive. The fact, well, I don't know why I like Lord of the Rings so much. It could be even though most of the characters are pretty. Anyways, I won't.
That fascinates me because I'm the opposite. I can't stand Lord of the Rings.
Because of what part of it?
Because I don't like any of the character. I don't care about elves. I don't care about.
I know. I'm like, why do I like Lord of the Rings so much, even though I like most of the characters are barely formed? Maybe for that case, maybe I just like how the forests are described like for like 3 pages in a row. Anyways,
you like when they sing about the grass?
Oh no, dude! I skipped all of the singing. I don't care. I don't care about that. I'm like, no. I'm here for like, I don't know. Okay, I guess it's because my favorite parts about Lord of the Rings are the actual character interactions where something happens between characters, and I'm like, oh yes, this is the best part. I do not care about the battle. I care about Legolas and Gimli talking about how they're going to go to each other's homes after this because they are friends now. That's cool. What I care about.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll gotta stop talking. It's vaguely related. Lord of the Rings definitely seems like somebody was inventing his own religion.
It is cited as a Christian text or whatever. I don't.
Yeah,
man, fuck Lord of the Rings.
If you've ever read the Silmarillion, it literally starts with, oh, this guy's just like inventing the creation story, but whatever, who cares? I don't care. Anyways, back to the Saint Young Man. Yeah, I love this. I can and I do read Slice of Life ad infinitum. I will read hundreds of chapters about just people just doing things. It's great. Also, most of the time, the art styles are pretty quaint. Slice of Life, they're not all great, but they're all pretty charming. So, like, if they're all pretty nice to look at, you're never gonna, like, well, you might. I probably just haven't read those ones. You're usually not gonna find a Slice of Life that is, like, unappealing to look at, because that's not the point.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, props to this, because I have to say, it's pretty detailed in a lot of its rendering, specifically of like backgrounds, like streets in Japan or in, public baths or whatever. Like, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty well rendered.
Yeah. I mean, she does have assistants to help with, the lovely thing about having assistants to do the backgrounds and stuff for you. So that definitely helps. But no, it's pretty nice to look at. It definitely fits the style of, well, how do I phrase it? I knew the author was a girl, if that makes sense.
I did not. That does interest me. How would you say so?
Just the way the characters are drawn, like the faces.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I could see that.
For me, it gives shoujo adjacent character design.
I mean, nobody's ugly. Even Buddha, who in the text they describe him as like pudgy, like he's trying to go on a diet because he's pudgy. He isn't. He's drawn pretty slim.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know exactly how to explain if that makes sense, that it's like shoujo adjacent art style, where it's like the characters are still drawn, like they're for the most part tall and slim, people are attractive. One of the main things that you can usually tell is just like how noses are drawn. I don't want to generalize, but like for the most part, when stuff is either specifically shoujo or shoujo adjacent, or a lot of shoujo artists are women, no, the way noses are drawn, people don't often have ugly noses. Most of the time, people have cute, petite, or attractive noses. And that's one of the things that, for me, gave it away, that this is drawn by a girl. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Okay. No, I see it. I totally see it.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, the art style, to me, yeah, it's pretty fine. It's not my favorite style for, like, for slice of life. There's definitely ones that are more cozy feeling, which we will talk about one at one point in time. That just, like, feels great to look at. But that's also the point. This is specifically a slice of life comedy, not a slice of life we want to give you cozy feelings.
Right. Although, props to this for, like, I was gonna jokingly be like, is this dude's rock? Props for showing, like, a healthy masculine friendship between two lads in their 20s. Like, them hanging out and watching 24 is, like, cool. Jesus buying a present for his friend is cool. That's cool to see.
Yeah. They're nice. They get along. It's like a non-antagonistic relationship. They genuinely care about each other. They're just guys being dudes, being roommates, having a good vacation. I don't know if any of the times happen in this volume specifically, but there are a couple jokes that are like, tee hee, haha, you're coming across as gay, dude. And it's not portrayed in the best way.
Shocker.
Yeah. I mean, this did start in 2006. That's not the best. But, like, to me, like, okay, this is for that it's weird, because, like, this is one of the things that wouldn't have surprised me as if it started out as, like, a boys' love idea. For example, I don't know if have you ever heard of Black Butler?
No, I don't think so.
You've never heard of Black Butler?
No, I think I do know this. I stay away from that.
There's like a very famous manga that's like called Black Butler, and I think it is technically shoujo, but it's about like a demon dude who's super powerful, and like it's about the main character trying to get revenge. All the characters are very pretty, blah blah blah, whatever. Like the original premise for it was like boys love, and you can really see that in the way it is. Like it's drawn like a shoujo thing, but it's also drawn the way the boys love stuff is drawn, and you're like, oh yeah, once you learn, oh, it was like originally conceived as idea of boy love, you're like, okay, this makes sense. This one wouldn't have surprised me if it was, but it wasn't, so like, in the end, that surprises me more. Especially with the, slightly not the best sort of jokes of haha, you gay bro, you coming off as gay, no homo, dude. But and I'm like, hopefully if they stop doing jokes like that, but like who knows, I don't know, man.
I mean, as a straight man, I've played a little gay chicken in my time. It's a fun game. It's a goofy, silly thing to do every once in a while.
Yeah.
No, I don't think these guys are drawn hot enough for it to be boys love. Truthfully, in my very small sample size that I know of. But still, I don't know. There's nothing wrong. There's a healthy platonic relationship where you can play gay chicken with each other. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Now this just makes me want to do Black Butler soon. I'm gonna make you read Black Butler.
I don't know this. I was thinking, you know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of Oron Host High School Club or whatever that is, which really I also funny. Not read or seen. I just know of it.
Me neither. I haven't. But anyways, Black Butler would be funny to do.
Sure.
I genuinely love Black Butler, but like the thing is, I'm not gonna make you read the entire thing, even though that would be the best way, because it's like, God, it's got hundreds of chapters. It's still ongoing, I think. Anyways, I will reserve my rights to force you to read the entirety of something for something that matters. Like One Piece.
Like One Piece.
Better get reading, boy.
Oh, I gotta get back on. I've got to get back on that track, actually.
I will not make you read the entirety of One Piece. That's okay.
No, but it's good.
I will make you read parts, but yeah. If you want to voluntarily read the entirety of One Piece, and then we can talk for like 10 hours worth for it, that would be great. But I'm not going to force you to do that.
I'll keep working on it. We'll see how far I get.
Congrats. That's very impressive. It's probably kind of daunting to read something that has over 1,000 chapters.
1,000 chapters?
Start like that. Yeah.
Yeah, not there yet.
But anyways, yeah, as we get super distracted again. Art style, pretty good, I would say. I am kind of impressed. Like, I did not expect this to be something that won the Tezuka Award. That surprised me.
Do you think it was just the subject matter? Not to belittle the rest of the work, but do you think it is the subject matter that put it in the running, or do you think this is just legitimately good cartooning?
So I think it is. I'm gonna go look up the Tezuka Award and see what was winning around that time as well. I am wondering, because I'm like, it is a very good series, I will say. I genuinely really enjoy it. Like, I'm not kidding when I say I would love to own the entire thing. It's great. Let's see if I can find what year did it win. Yeah, because like things like, you know, Full Metal Alchemist won a prize. In 2009, it won the prize for the Short Story Award. So like not the big one, but like it's one of the ones. And I'm like, 2009. I mean, there was a lot of stuff happening in 2009. It's hard for me to say because like I don't know what other things were considered for this in this year. It's not one of the best things I've ever read, but like I wouldn't be surprised that it's won awards. I'm just surprised it won like such prestigious awards, which sounds like a dick thing to say. Because like it is good and I really enjoy it. It's just like, you know, it's not like the best thing ever. I think it might be like it's a pretty popular genre, like slice of life, like comedy, like this kind of thing is a pretty big genre. I think the fact that it is about characters like Buddha and Jesus gives it a little bit more like making serious vibes to it, like less just silly and more like, yeah, well, we did a situational comedy, but we're using like Buddha and Jesus. So like, you know, a little bit more of the big guns in that sense. From what I've seen, it has been very popular. I think it sold 16 million copies, and the volumes when they were released in Japan were like often among like the top selling weekly or monthly or yearly. Like they've been very well received in Japan. I don't know what the numbers are in the West, but the fact that they are I am still seeing all the fancy hardcover $32 for one of these bad boys, and I'm still seeing the new volumes coming out. Like, I mean, people are buying them. Someone's buying them.
Somebody's buying it. If it's still being produced exactly. Like weekly or whatever, then clearly it's popular. They wouldn't magazines over there don't run features that aren't popular. So
yeah, and it's been running since 2006. Yeah, so it's popular. I've not seen that's really been not well received. I guess I saw a couple reviews that were like, with the premise were like, really? Like, can this really do anything special? Is it really gonna like do anything above just like Jesus and Buddha hanging out? And I'm like, my guy, you are reading Slice of Life. That's all it is. It's just Jesus and Buddha hanging out with jokes and puns and stuff. That is the point. That's what it is. And so like, yeah, for what it is, I think it is good. It's good for what it is, which sounds like such a backhanded compliment.
Here's a question I had for you. So again, I just skimmed like the Wikipedia article on this. From what we read, there's basically only two characters, a third reoccurring Yakuza guy who accidentally becomes a disciple of Jesus, which is also very funny.
Yeah. I
understand that gradually it gets an extended cast specifically from Christianity. Does anybody else show up in this? Like, I don't know. Does Muhammad show up in the Prophet Muhammad show up in this? Like,
no, we get the four archangels show up, which is funny to me because the archangels showed up in Wish.
No, but the real ones show up in this one.
They do show up, and they are anime pretty boys. one time they go to like Jesus and Buddha go to a resort that's like, farther away from their house than just the convenience store. So the archangels show up there because they were worried because the GPS showed that Jesus had gone way farther away from home than normal, and they were like, we were kind of worried that maybe you're getting persecuted, so we want to see what was up. And Jesus does activate that. I think they go over it in the first volume, that there's like a his crown of thorns.
He's got like a homing beacon in there. Yeah.
He's got like a homing beacon. He can it's kind of like a help a help call if he like pulls it off and like breaks the little tab. It's like a come help me call, and then like the archangel will show up and protect him. He does that because he eats some wasabi and is like thinks he's gonna die.
That's so funny.
The archangels show up and they're like, wow, you like showed up within like 5 seconds. That's impressive. Well, it turns out they were already staying at the resort. They were already there because they were like, we were worried about you.
That's okay. Like they 5 seconds. How impressive. Shouldn't it be instantaneous? They're holy divine beings. Whatever. I know. That's so funny.
Yeah. So there's some of the religious characters. I mean, like God technically does show up in the form of a bird sometimes.
Okay.
Like one time he shows up and then like talks, and then Buddha's like, oh hey, Jesus' dad, what's up?
I understand like the Mother Mary shows up. Some of the disciples are mentioned. I don't know if they show up.
I think they do. It's been a while since I read the entirety of the series, but I think at the very, I think Judas shows up at some point. Well,
they mentioned Judas.
Yeah.
Buddha doesn't want to follow Judas on like MySpace or whatever. He's creeped out.
Or like some social media. Yeah. He's worried that Judas is gonna follow him or something. Yeah. There are some recurring Buddhist characters as well. There's in this volume, it introduces one of his Buddha's disciples who returns pretty often. There's another guy who shows up, which he didn't show up in this volume. I forget what his name is, but I think he was like the guy that before Buddha, like after Buddha did all this stuff, like the guy that Buddha was like, okay, continue to preach my stuff and make sure people do this stuff. I think that guy shows up. I think Buddha's mom shows up.
Buddhist? Oh, yeah. Interesting. That's interesting.
His mom shows up at some point. They meant to talk about his mom sometimes. There's also some other figures that show up. I can't remember exactly who they are because I'm not super familiar with Buddhism. But there's at one point in time, there is a character in the Buddhist canon who has 11 heads or 11 faces, and the joke that happens is like Buddha like phones this character and it was like asking for a review on a movie, and then the review got a 4 out of 11, and Jesus is like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, like 4 out of the 11 heads says it was good.
It's pretty funny.
And Jesus is like, oh, I like this. I should like, be friends with this person because I also have reviews on my blog because Jesus is a blogger.
Jesus is a blogger.
Jesus is a blogger. He's got a blog.
Mostly him taking pictures of food, which is also very funny.
Yeah, which is like, that makes sense. That's what bloggers do, man. So yeah, a good amount of characters show up and they're reoccurring. Like the archangels show up again, and then they like add to the cast, and you learn a little bit more about the religion because I guess like. Okay, question. I have a question. Is one of the in canon, like religious canon, is one of the archangels related to Lucifer?
Not in canon, but that is not the Divine Comedy. What the fuck's that thing called? I have it on my shelf. Hang on. So like I said previously on the last time Diane emceed, Satan's like not real. He's like not really in the Bible. So John Milton, famous poet, wrote Paradise Lost, which is sort of like a fan fiction secret origin of Satan, which proposes that, yes, one of the archangels, Lucifer Morningstar, proposed a rebellion against God, and for his actions he was punished by being sent down to hell. Again, that's not in the Bible. That's made up. That's invented. But everybody thinks that it's in the Bible, which is like kind of a problem.
That's really funny. I like that. So, according to that, is Lucifer and one of the archangels, like, related? Because I think in the canon of Saint Young Men, one of them is the brother of Lucifer. And I'm like, cool, is that real?
I think that's real. I mean, all the angels are, like...
We'll define real.
Related, sort of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And canonly, they're not anime pretty boys.
I mean, canonly, they're terrifying. They are wheels within wheels and hundreds of wings and hundreds of eyes. They're not cherubs as in most depictions. Yeah,
damn. Someone was cooking when they came up with that description of like how horrifying the angels really are. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's some eldritch horror there. But yeah, no, there are other characters, and the cast slowly gets. I mean, honestly, the most recurring character is probably the Yakuza guy.
How deep does this plot line go? Like, does Jesus infiltrate the Japanese mafia? Does it become a
No,
cool action
no.
thing? No, okay.
No, there's like one chapter where like they invite the Yakuza guy over to their house to be like, just like, oh, our like first on Earth friend, how nice, and they're hanging out. And then like through the way that they're saying things, like in the chapter you read, like what Jesus said gets misinterpreted as the Yakuza guy. He like thinks that Jesus is also like he's like the son of like some mafia head dude, yeah, and is like, bro, you escaped jail in 3 days. Jesus is like, wow, it took you 7 years. That must have been tough.
Yeah. Jesus is talking about being crucified.
Yeah, and then the Yakuza guy's like, wow, that's so impressive. How'd you get out in 3 days? You gotta tell me so I can know for next time, which is hilarious. But like, bro, you're just assuming you're going back to jail. Hilarious. And then Jesus is like, oh, I didn't do anything. It was the will of my father. Because the guy's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I should be respecting you way more. Anyways, so there's like one time that, anyways, he comes over to their house and like misunderstanding thing again. Just like the things that Buddha is saying makes him sound like even more of a badass. And then the guy like literally is like, I'm gonna convert. You're gonna be like, you're who I'm gonna like follow the most now, my guy.
Yeah, he becomes they describe him as the 13th disciple when they meet him at a bathhouse, and Jesus accidentally turns all the water in one of the baths into wine, and he assumes it's blood. The Yakuza guy assumes it's blood, and he thinks, oh man, Jesus did this crazy thing or whatever.
And I mean, okay, there's a chapter where through, even if we have the main characters who are like thousands of year old religious deities, no, we still gotta have our school festival or school sports day episode. So the landlord lady, her grandkid has this like a school sports day, but the grandkid's parents are sick, so she asks Jesus and Buddha to fill in as parents for that day. This never happened. This sounds like a stranger danger. But anyways, they're like, oh, Jesus and Buddha have to fill in and partake in this school sports day. And then, of course, the parents of another kid happen to be the Yakuza guy and his wife. And so they have like they have a rivalry. And
oh, that's fun.
They do a 3-legged race, and the Yakuza guy and his wife are like, oh, we have 20 years of being together. We're going to be so good at this. And then Buddha and Jesus will whip past them, and they're like, oh, you say 20 years? We have thousands of years of being together. And they just zoom past. Yeah, it's good stuff. Classic slice of life. You got to have your school day stuff.
You got to do sports day. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It doesn't matter what genre of slice of life, you still have to have sports day. It is, like, contractually obligated. And they found a way. Sure, super complicated to get there. Don't care. Hilarious chapter. Had a great time. I think probably my favorite joke in the entire series is the one that legitimately made me laugh out loud so hard when I was rereading it. Jesus makes a joke about having to like start selling indulgences so they can make money and have a little bit more money. So instead of Buddha having to resell his set of Tezuka's Buddha books, and Jesus is like, I guess I gotta start selling indulgences, and he has like these little coupons that look like the most scam shit ever, and I laughed so hard at that.
So funny.
I was like, that's so funny. I love that. Because I'm like, isn't the indulgences not even a thing? Like that's something the church made up.
That's the church. That's got nothing to do with Jesus. Made it.
Exactly. I was just like, isn't this like a cringe kind of scammy thing the church did to make money? But like,
which they also haven't done for hundreds of years.
Yeah, exactly. And Jesus like pulled up the stack of coupons that look so, that made me laugh so hard. And me rereading like most of the series last night instead of going to bed.
So canonically then darkness. This is the Catholic Jesus. This is not
I guess.
This is not Protestant Jesus or Lutheran Jesus.
I just think it's really funny that, like, yeah, it's interesting to know, like, what kind of, like, what religious things do they choose to include? Like, I'm going to assume it's not general knowledge in Japan what indulgences are. I don't even think that's common knowledge, like, in Canada.
Yeah, I don't know if that, I mean, that was taught to me in like, grade 9, we learned about the Protestant Reformation, but, like, only very briefly. I don't know.
I don't remember where I learned what indulgences were, but I know I learned them in a situation that wasn't very, like, it was probably, I know, it was art history. I learned about in art history what indulgences were, I think. So it was definitely not in a, this is a thing that is real. It was a, so anyways, this happened. So, cause I'm like, so like, had that joke, how well would that specific joke would have landed in Japan?
Yeah, I wonder if that was explained with like a footnote, right? Like or an asterisk.
Oh, it must have been. It would have been like, indulgences are this, and it started in this year, and blah, blah, blah. It definitely would have gotten an appendix mention in the hardcover volume. I'm like, I presume that a lot of the Buddha jokes probably, or references, land harder or better in Japan. And I, like, for you, for example, you were like, I don't know any of these references.
Right.
I didn't know he had long earlobes, man. But also, it's like, because even though a decent amount of Japanese people are religious, it is a relatively secular society. And even probably a bunch of people who go doing like shrine visits and stuff wouldn't know all these Buddhist characters.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of in any other manga, like, I'm like, even in manga that like reference religious things, they never depict actual Buddha, like other Buddhist characters besides Buddha. Like in this, they talk about like how his life and like, you know, before it says in this canon, before he was Buddha, he was like a prince, which from my slight amount of research is maybe true, maybe not true. They're not too sure, honestly. They're like, some people say that, yeah, that's how it is. Some people think, no, I don't think he was actually a prince. But so I'm like, I don't know how much people would actually know what that is. I mean, especially since like 42% of the population or whatever it is reported to have no religion. So I don't think like most secular people would understand who any of these Buddhist characters are. I don't know if they know who Buddha's disciple is. Unless, I mean, hey, a lot of people probably read Tezuka's Buddha, so they might know.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, I don't know, do they have a religious study in their primary school? I don't think so. So
I don't think so.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, I guess like it's just interesting to me, like the concept of Tezuka's Buddha series. You think something like that could exist in the West here, like, but about Jesus?
I mean, many have tried. Usually from, you know, a religious publisher, like one of those Catholic publishers.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they used to, here's a tangent. When I was a kid, they used to publish, there were single issue comics depicting the lives of all the saints. I used to love those when I was a kid. I could get those at my church's library.
Never heard of that.
I mean, cool. you've read the New Testament as a comic book.
Yeah. And I had the manga Bible growing up, where it's
the Action Bible, which is also a comic. Yeah.
So like, but like those are specifically direct. Well, like the New Testament one was like very direct translation of the Bible. The manga Bible for the Old Testament, there is like comedy in there, which I feel like some super religious people would have thought was kind of blasphemous with jokes and stuff. I don't know. Shit, what's the guy named? There was Elijah and Elisha.
Yeah.
One of them is bald. I think it's Elisha.
I think that's right.
And there's a bunch of like bald jokes and stuff. I mean, is it actually in the Bible where like kids are making fun of him being bald and he like gets them mauled by animals?
Yes.
Does that actually happen?
That's real. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's real. But there's like other jokes and like that kind of, like about him being bald and stuff. There's like humor in there, and I mean like the fact that it's drawn like a kind of shitty Western approximation of manga just to me feels like that's the sacrilegious part. But I'm like, yeah, that one's less. But I'm like, all these things are like just comic adaptations of the Bible. And I haven't read Tezuka's Buddha, but I feel like I should now. I don't know how direct of a quote unquote translation it is from the actual Buddhist canon. But according to Saint Youngman, Buddha likes it.
Yes.
He likes it, and he bought the whole thing.
And he's bought it multiple times over. Yes.
Yeah. So like,
yeah,
I guess it's good. I guess it's good.
I've heard it's good. I wonder if it's like, because he also did that. It's like a fictionalized biography of Adolf Hitler's life Tezuka made. I wonder if it's like that also. It like it's a critique of Hitler from a Japanese
Uh-huh.
perspective. I've
Uh-huh.
only read some of it. It's pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if it's fictionalized.
Hmm.
Here's a Western example, maybe. I don't know if this is what you were
Yeah.
talking about. You ever hear about that Swamp Thing comic where Swamp Thing was going to go back in time and he was going to become the wood that became the cross that Jesus was crucified on?
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
And then it got
Huh?
canceled, and then now it's coming
Oh,
out
I
this
never.
year. No, it's coming out this year.
I was like, that didn't exist. I'm so sad. Oh, it's gonna exist. Oh, I can't wait. That's great. That's amazing. I'm sorry. I do not. What do you mean he was gonna become the wood that the cross was made out of? Huh?
Yeah, he like time traveled through like the mysticism of the green, which is like Swamp Thing's powers, and then yeah, he became the wood of the cross.
What's the what's like not the plot reason, but like what's the message of that? Like what's it's trying to say about that? Like
And
was
it's
there
really
a
cool.
goal?
It's really metal. It's really cool,
Like
and Swamp Thing's cool.
is he gonna become the cross so he can like change history, or he just wants to be like that viscerally close to like Jesus dying?
Oh, I don't know if he wants to do that. I think it's just a
Oh.
thing that happens to Swamp Thing. I don't know. I don't
Oh.
know all the details. Again, it was never published until now.
Okay. I'm kind of excited for this to exist. I kind of want to read this now. Let me know when that comes out.
Yes, I gotta hunt for those.
I'm excited for that. That's great. I appreciate. That's not even close to what I was thinking.
Not
of.
what you were talking about. No,
Not
fair
even
enough.
close. But I'm like a kind of like slightly realistic, slightly fictionalized version of Juice's life. Like I mean, for example, like there's a bunch of slightly fictionalized or whatever versions of like Miyamoto Musashi's life,
Right.
like Vagabond and whatever. So it's like, would that kind of thing fly in the West if it was about Jesus?
I mean, we have that in novel and film form, Last
Mhm.
Temptations, and it was so
Mhm.
controversial. I'm pretty sure like it probably scared people to not do that, which I don't think is fair because
Yeah.
beyond Jesus being a religious figure, he is a historical figure. Like there was a Jesus in that time period who was baptized and was crucified, regardless of whether or not he performed miracles or not, or if he was the true son of God. Jesus was a guy and he had some clout. Like it should be fair enough to explore what that guy's life was like.
Yeah. Yeah, and also let people do what they want to do with comics. If they want to make Jesus their little OC and make him do stuff, go for it.
Well,
That'd be fun. I mean, you already have so much
to some
canon to
degree,
work
I agree
from.
with you, but I don't know. I also believe in
Yeah.
freedom of expression or whatever. Yeah, do whatever you want with Jesus. Sure.
Yeah. The Bible came out so long ago that surely, yeah, like it's free game. Like it's what's that thing where it's like in the common, like people can use that
Public
and use
domain?
image now. Like what is it? It's public domain. Yeah, Jesus is public domain character.
He's a real guy.
You
He's a
can do
historical
whatever you
figure.
want. Yeah, yeah. Public domain. You can do whatever you want. Write any story you want about Jesus. Write a story where he's like a badass vampire hunter or something.
I think that does
That'd be
exist
pretty sick.
somewhere. That's got
That
to
has
exist.
got
Yeah.
to exist.
Yeah.
I'm sure that exists somewhere. Like that would be do that. That's fun. I like that. Do that with Jesus. So you can have slice of life Jesus, and then you can have epic vampire hunter Jesus.
With an 8-pack.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He's ripped. Maybe he's got scars. I mean, this badass version. Maybe he's like his like stigmata never stop bleeding.
He's
so
always
just
bleeding.
always,
He's got
like,
blood
his
powers
body
like an
is
avatar
epic,
or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. You can like blood bend. Yeah. All right, somebody go make this. That'd be super cool. And or I might do some research to see if anybody has made this because that'd be super fun.
Next Diane episode.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of curious. I want to go like see what other depictions of like religious figures there are in manga. Because
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
I want to know.
How far do we go?
Yeah. Anyways, I maybe should have done that research before this episode. Maybe I'll do an addendum on my next episode to be like, hey, by the way, this is what I found. I found the actual boys love manga about Jesus.
I don't doubt that exists somewhere.
I'm sure that exists. I'm sure it does. I mean, sure, everything exists.
I mean, that also exists in. Never mind. That we don't have to talk about the secret. The secret. What is it? It's the secret book of John or whatever. It's like a Gnostic text that like was proposed to the Pope at one point in time, which suggested that maybe Jesus was okay with gay people. but then it got struck down, and we don't have to talk about that.
That's so rude. That's really funny. I did not know it exists. Great to know I'm learning so much about religion today.
Secret book of, what is it? Is it John or Peter or Thomas? It's one of those three. Anyway.
Sick.
It's not canon. Not canon.
I'm going to count it as canon now that I know it exists. Honestly, the funniest thing to me is the fact that you were having less of a religious, theological breakdown in this episode than you did in Wish.
I mean, Jesus is a chill guy. I can't argue against that. That's can't argue that I would like to think that Jesus is chill if Jesus is a real Messiah.
Mm-hmm. Just a chill dude, and just wants to have a nice little vacation on Earth.
He wants to hang out in Japan.
Away from his duties.
I want to hang out in Japan. That sounds reasonable to me.
It is very funny to me. Obviously, it's the premise of the manga, and it makes sense because it's written in Japan, and that's what slice of life is. But it's funny to me that Buddha and Jesus, of all the places in the world, hypothetically, they could have picked anywhere in the world, and they chose the suburbs of Tokyo. Japan. It's funny to me. They chose here, and also the fact, obviously, it's the point. That's how you can be me too. That they have a budget. They don't need to have a budget. They could have infinite money.
Right. Yeah.
They don't have to, buy, the food on sale so that they can pay rent.
But God except
given them a bigger
they are both humble. They are both of humble means. That is
true.
Canon of both of them. So again,
yeah,
not bad. Good job, Saint Young Man.
But it is funny to me. The thing I think about, I'm just it's obviously, I was gonna be it's all contrived. Well, yeah, of course it's contrived. It's a story. So I can't nitpick any of that. Okay. What I'm gonna say, final piece, the one thing that I think about in the Buddhist sense, but I'm not really super familiar with Buddhism, so I don't know if this makes sense or not, but one of the points is to reach nirvana so that you can escape the suffering of the continuous cycle of having to be reborn and whatever. And Buddha attained enlightenment, so technically he should have escaped the cycle of rebirth and stuff, and cease to exist or whatever. How does that make sense then if he's still here in this story? And how you could technically call this being reincarnated back onto Earth.
Here's a deep thought. Maybe being alive in the 21st century, it's not so bad. Maybe it's not suffering. I disagree, but
I like that. Don't put the addendum on it that quick. Yeah, he has reached nirvana.
He has reached nirvana.
Being able to hang out.
Hanging out in Japan with your best bud.
Modern day Japan with his best bud. Yeah, and don't we all want to reach nirvana of just hanging out with our best bud and not actively having to work? Our dad just gives us money every month. That's the real nirvana. Just not having to work, just getting to vibe, get to do fun stuff like silk screening shirts for yourself and your bro. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds okay. Yeah. Learning how to draw manga. Okay. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Damn. Now I'm jealous of these fictional dudes who are actually just religious figures.
These fictional deities. What is that? Messiah complex?
But yeah, the book says entirely coincidental that these people, living or dead, represent or are similar to anyone. Yeah, no, it's entirely coincidental or are used fictitiously, for sure. You have any last thoughts about Saint Young Man? Would you recommend this one? Would you read more of it? What do you think?
Yeah, I would read more of this. I think it would depend. My mom's never going to read this, or my dad, but I don't know. I think people our age probably have a more liberal view on religion and the use of religious figures in media. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It's pretty harmless.
Yeah. And as a non-religious person who loves slice of life, yeah, this is great. I would recommend it to people in that specific demographic who just wants to see funny little happenings, and maybe if you know a little bit about Buddhism or Christianity, the jokes will make more sense, but honestly, whatever, the appendixes spell it out for you, so you don't have to technically get all the wine, turning water to wine jokes. You're good.
Yeah.
They're just powerful dudes doing their thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, good stuff. Good little romp. Something nice and chill.
Nice and light. Yeah.
Nice and light to break up all of the slightly heavier or whatever things that we're talking about in the Watchmen, Children of Watchmen stuff. Not that last time we talked about Rob Liefeld, so no, I don't think we're doing that much heavy hitting right now. You know what? So next time I'll bring something that is way more serious.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
We'll see how that pairs. We'll see how that
we'll do
pairs.
something way more serious. Wee! Ooh, I wonder what kind of thing I'm gonna pick. Ooh.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Exciting. Yeah. Thanks for listening. You can find me, Diane, on Instagram at @1_little_gremlin.
And you can find me, Jack, on Bluesky and Pinkleap at Phantom Power Press, spelt with an F.
If you'd like to follow the show, you can do so on Bluesky and Pinkleap at panelpalspodcast.bsky.social. All of our links are in the show notes. If you like the show, please rate and review on your podcast provider of choice. Panel Pals is a Jack Stewardson, Diane Hitchings co-production with editing by Jack Stewardson. Our musical theme is found by Stemchamps.